Hello, friends. Welcome inside, at least for me, Ben Garrett. And just for now, the Riverland Roofing Studios, 662-644-4297, riverlandroofing.com. It's another edition of Talk of Champions, the Ben and Brad Show. Got Jake coming up here in a second. I got a bunch of sound from Phoenix as well, interviews and some arrival stuff. But as you see, Mr. Brad Logan right there, he is he's in the airport at Memphis, Tennessee. Are you in Memphis?
Well, this is basically Oxford North. Everywhere you
Right.
go, you see a red Ole Miss shirt. I mean, there are Ole Miss people everywhere. As you look over my shoulder and you see this is the gate that's headed to the southwest, direct
Fantastic.
flight to Phoenix. As we've got people that have
Everybody.
got all the fans that are here getting ready to head off to Phoenix. And basically, Ben, it was a who's who on the drive in on 78. I came up 78. If anyone's coming to the airport later on today, I encourage you to use Interstate 55. 78, there's a lot of construction, and it really bogs down. So you definitely want to use 55 if you're coming to the airport today. A lot of people like you are flying out of Jackson. So we encourage everybody to be safe. Everybody that I've talked to that flew out early this morning from Memphis, the plane was full of Ole Miss people. This plane that we're getting on is full of Ole Miss people. I talked to the gate agent as I was coming through security, and she was running my license. She said, my goodness, what in the world? She said, I've never seen this many Ole Miss people at an airport. So I expect a really big Ole Miss crowd. We heard from Keith Carter. He told Super Talk Mississippi, it was either yesterday or earlier this week, that he expects a really good crowd in Phoenix. They're, Ole Miss fans are really excited about the possibility of playing for a national championship. Ben, I know there's a lot of audio that is going to be coming up and video coming up, and I think it's just really good at the exposure that Ole Miss is getting. We heard from Trinidad Chambliss, and it was really cool seeing him on Sports Center being interviewed on ESPN. Kiwan Lacy, Will Eckles, they've all said the right things, and it's absolutely been a fun ride so far.
Wear red to the game. Yes, that is correct. As far as we know, it's wear red to the game. Brad is on the way to the game. I just got out of the shower, jumped right here because I'm about to head to Jackson, Mississippi to fly direct. I'll be landing in Phoenix at 9:30 tonight. But yeah, some stuff's happening. DJ Lagway, Ole Miss is trying to line up a visit for him. We'll get into that, but not with Brad right now because Brad's about to have to get on a plane. But I'm curious, for you leading into the game. I've got a lot of sound to play in just a minute from players and coaches, and I'll play their arrival stuff or their media day stuff in a second. But I'm curious, just what your impressions are now today. Has anything changed for you? What's your score prediction and all that kind of stuff? Because me and Sudu podcasted yesterday. You jumped in briefly with us from Houston High School, where William Eckles came from, and now stars for Ole Miss. Anything changed for you in particular?
Well, a little bit. I went back and watched the Miami-Ohio State game, and the way that Miami dominated the line of scrimmage is a little bit troublesome. I think the good news is Ole Miss, with John Garrett and an offensive line, they've got their hands full. The two defensive ends are going to be playing on Sunday. They're first-round talents, so Ole Miss is got to account for those two defensive ends. A couple of things I did see is I think Ole Miss can be successful in the Miami secondary. I think there's opportunities there, and it was especially with the best wide receiving core in the country with Stribling and Caden Lee and Wallace and Deuce Alexander, which we saw Deuce Alexander said that he's coming back since we visited. There's been a graphic that dropped. So, man, goodness, man, there's so many graphics that have dropped. I mean, so many players are coming back to run it back for 26. I thought it was going to be more of a kind of a rebuilding year. It's going to be more of an exciting year. I think the schedule is going to be a little more difficult than this year, but the talent that's coming back, pending that waiver for Trinidad Chambliss, and 26 looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But I do think it's going to be troublesome running the football early. And if Ole Miss can somehow throw to open up the run, I think that's the recipe for success for Ole Miss, because Lacy, I think 96 rushing yards against Georgia. Honestly, I think the Miami defensive front is better than Georgia's, although I think Georgia's secondary is probably a little bit better than Miami.
Uh-oh. We already lost Brad. He's in the airport, so I'm going to go ahead and remove him. But about the DJ Lagway stuff, welcome. It's just me today. Got Jake Thompson coming. Brad Logan was coming to us from the airport. Sitting here in the Riverland Roofing Studios, hanging out with you guys today. About the DJ Lagway stuff, I've already picked Ole Miss, and I get there in Phoenix at 9:30 Mountain Time, so 8:30 Central, and I'm going to go to the Barstool event with Mincy and Drell Poe. That's the plan. Here's Brad's back with us. I'll get to DJ Lagway in just a second. All right, sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
But real quick, I do think this Miami secondary is not as good as Georgia's. So I think Trinidad, along with that wide receiving core, can have a really big day. I'm also going to be interested to see the tight ends. We saw Luke Haas put the graphic out that he would be coming back as well. So that's good news for Ole Miss there. And I hear the gate agent behind me talking to Ole Miss fans. It's literally like Oxford North. Oxford has its own airport. But yeah, I'm excited to see. I think Ole Miss scores in the 30s. They win the game. I think Miami is going to stay in the 24-28 range. Ole Miss in 31-38. I think that's the recipe for success as we hear the fans behind us celebrate. So the captain has just been announced. He is a Mississippi State fan.
Fantastic.
The captain to Phoenix. Real quick, Ben, I want to say there's a couple of things we want to talk about, and that is, of course, all of our sponsors. And I'm going to trust that you name all of those off when I get off, Ben. We couldn't do what we do without all of our sponsors, everybody that really stepped up. They're sending me to Phoenix. They're sending you to Phoenix, and they've been fantastic. Secondly, we've got an event tomorrow from 3 until 5. That's, of course, Central Time. Will be the Alumni Association. Ben and I, we've got an incredible amount of guests that are going to be joining us. So
I got a new one to add for you.
Who you got?
Bradley Sal. He's calling in.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Bradley's got a great.
Jared Ivey turned me down cold. J.I. turned me down cold, but Bradley Sal said he's in for it.
Well, Bradley Sal's got it. He's definitely been in the trenches, so it'll be interesting to hear from him, a former NFL player as well. And then, of course, I'll be live on location tonight at 5:30. It'll be 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain with the Alumni Association at the Westin Hotel. Ben and I will be live from there. There'll also be some videos.
I will be at an airport.
Listen to this, Ben.
Yeah. I can't hear anything.
Well, we got a hotty-toddy chat breaking out behind them.
That's what I figured was going on. Have you been recognized at all yet? Have people gone, hey,
Brad? Somebody just walked by and just gave me a fist bump. So hey, everybody's excited.
Say hi. Say hi, fam. Hi, fam. You good?
Yeah.
Hotty-toddy. Have a great time out there, guys.
Yeah. Everybody's fired up. So, Ben, we're going to sign off here.
Before you do,
all of our. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. You mentioned all those returners yesterday. The full list so far: 11 players have re-upped. Caleb Odom, Luke Haas, Devin Harper, Deuce Alexander, Kiwan Lacy, Jam Brown, Prince Uman Mielen, Oscar Bird, Lucas Canero, Ladarian Clardy, Jalen Braxton, Antonio Kites, and Taryn Perkins, William Eckles, Bryson Sanders. Yeah, that is. They've only lost 3 players to the portal too. I was looking at a certain ranking, and because I know I got to get you out of here, but Auburn's lost 33 total players lost to the transfer portal by SEC teams as of today or yesterday. Auburn had 33. Ole Miss was last in the conference behind Georgia with 8. And Ole Miss has 3.
How many does LSU have?
LSU
Did you say it?
Yep. LSU's up to 26.
Okay. I didn't realize Auburn had that many. Boy, Golish is really going in with a big fist. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a testament to Pete Golding and this defensive staff keeping the teams together. And I think offensively, John David Baker is going to be able to put his stamp on this offense as soon as the season is over. We hope in a couple of weeks, whenever that national championship is brought back home for the first time to Ole Miss. So those are some things that obviously we'll be monitoring. But I think following along with the Ole Miss Spirit, that's omspirit.com. Follow along with Ben. Jake's coming on in just a minute. Jake's got some great stuff. And be sure and ask him, because he interviewed all the different players. And I love kind of the questions he had for Lacy. So I look forward to rewatching this when I land and head out to the hotel.
Well, be careful on the way. Maddox says he's going to sit by you on the flight. So find Maddox, be careful, and I'll see you in Phoenix later on today, buddy.
All right, we'll see you later on today. Thanks, man.
He's Brad Logan, the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, Flip on 3. This podcast, whatever you want to call it, we're sponsored as always by B&A Bank, Riverland Roofing, and all of those who have helped send Brad to Phoenix, including Jones Merchant Services and Advanced Payments, Inc. Contact them today. Built Different Fitness has been such a great partner to us for so long, and meeting them at Manning's in New Orleans was so cool, and trying to encourage my stupid lazy butt to get up and get active. So I want to give some love to Built Different Fitness, helping get both me and Brad to Phoenix, man. It's an exciting time. And I've got a lot of audio going right like that I want to show you guys from Media Day. Today was the coaches press conference. First and foremost, let's hear from Kiwan Lacy. Kiwan talking about returning the game and all those kind of things. It's Kiwan Lacy, Ole Miss running back. This is Talk of Champions.
Come out Thursday, man. We know the job. We know what needs to be done. BTA Nation, BTA family. I haven't been here too long, but what I've seen is a lot of great, environment around. So happy to look at the scenery. I just know they have a lot of confidence, on the field. They play a great brand of football, and I just feel like if we just come out there with the right mentality, eliminating, mistakes, and just going out there and playing ball, it's gonna be a great game.
Can I interview you, Kiwan Lacy?
Of course,
Big fan
man.
of yours.
Big fan of yours,
Can
man.
you put this hat on for me, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Anything, anything for you.
All right. Can I take this off? How you do this? Y'all know how to take this off? Set it off? Oh, perfect. All right, I'm here with Kiwan Lacy. Kiwan Lacy, running back for your Ole Miss Rebels. How is it, being in the backfield with such a dynamic quarterback like Trinidad Chambliss?
It's great, having him, run around the field and, toss you the ball. It's just an amazing experience being on the field with six.
And you're just a great guy in general. Oxford loves you. Ole Miss loves you. Whole college football loves you. Just tell me about the season. What's your most memorable, memory that you had this whole season?
I'll say, the Sugar Bowl, when I seen Trinidad, Chambliss do incredible things. That's just been the highlight of my year, for real.
And what can you say about the offensive line?
They've been great group of guys, love them to death. They're some dogs, we need to feed them more.
Yes, sir. And what does BTA actually mean? Next question.
Actually mean, and yeah, my guy couldn't answer because it means belt to ass, and he couldn't say belt to ass, I guess, in official capacity. But man, they're having fun. Tell me the vibes aren't kind of immaculate right now. And that's why I'm really bullish about this football team, and why I said if they beat Georgia and got past them, I would pick them all the way through. Kiwan got that Guardian cap on. I love that. I love the oversized, overfit caps, man. And it just speaks to the vibes. This team is feeling confident. That's one thing that I learned pretty quickly in the locker room at the Sugar Bowl, man. And that's one thing I just want to know from everybody. Of course, they're confident, but it's like, what is the confidence level of this team right now? And everyone to a man said 11 out of 10, 99, whatever metric. It's really cool to not only hear that from them, but then to see some proof of concept off the field. The Sugar Bowl win was historic unto itself, but what has been done in these last couple of days is even more so. To be able to retain 11 players, I think is what I mentioned to Brad, and I'll look at it again. 11 players, including your two best offensive players, assuming Trinidad gets his waiver, is a huge feather in the cap for Pete Golding, and really a show of force. I think the Georgia win played a big part in all of that. Of course, winning matters, like Brian Brown said, but this seems like the perfect crescendo, or like a fever dream of a crescendo of perfect positivity and news and good vibes for Ole Miss right now. And the good times only continue to roll. Question now becomes, as you look towards 2026, what the team is going to be if Trinidad gets the waiver. Will he get the waiver? That's up in the air. I know that some of you asked me about Bleacher Report. I agree with you, Sam. It does feel like a team of destiny. And that was my point coming out of the Sugar Bowl. Because I honestly thought that Georgia was going to be really, really hard for Ole Miss to get through, and that they just weren't a good matchup for Ole Miss. And so, honestly, I thought that Ole Miss, I don't know, it was hard for me to pick Ole Miss to beat Georgia. But then it got swept up, Manning's, our live show, or the New Year's Eve show. And everyone, even though they were Ole Miss fans, I thought I was in the echo chamber, said Ole Miss is going to win this game. I went ahead and predicted Ole Miss to win at the last minute, and I'm glad I did. But the one thing I held firm with is, man, it does feel like an absolute team of destiny. Thank you, brother. Thanks for all the hard work and content. Thank y'all for joining me here. Here's a little more from Media Day when the team arrived. Here's Trinidad Chambliss.
This was a goal that we had at the beginning of the season, to get to the college football playoff and hopefully have a chance to, compete in the national championship. Just got to approach it like any other game. We know that the stakes are higher and we have to have more focus. We know that. But we can't put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I feel like there's already pressure on ourselves, playing at Ole Miss and playing in the SEC. But yeah, just take it one play at a time and, let the chips fall where they may. Ole Miss is home. They've been good to me and my family, and just the love and support that they show, for each game is just insane. And, I love Ole Miss. Yeah, I just felt like it was important for, my team and for everyone to know that, I'm committed to Ole Miss, and that, Ole Miss is truly special and it's a home. And I feel like it's just the right thing to do. And My family felt good about it, and I feel like that's just the best decision for me. I would say I'm pretty confident. I have trust in Jesus Christ that it's going to get approved, and I have faith in that. And I feel like my case is really strong, and I really don't see why they should deny it, to be honest. Yeah, I was a little frustrated, and it has been a little frustrating, but I can't let that overtake what my mindset is right now, and that's to win a football game and to beat Miami. So I would say I'm a little frustrated, but I can't let that take over me. I would just say we have evidence and we have an actual reasoning. There's some kids that don't have a reasoning on why they should get another year, and I mean I have a actual case. It's legit, and I hope that they can find whatever in their hearts or in their minds that they can see that, and to see that I'm a great guy. I'm all for college football, and I feel like this year has proven that I'm good for college football, and I think that I should deserve another year. Yeah, I mean any day by now. That's what I've been hearing, and yeah, I think any day. Ole Miss is home, and that I feel like that was the right decision, and I just felt like people needed to know because the timing of it really isn't that good right now. Coaches got to make decisions on to get kids in the transfer portal, and I had conversations with coaches, and I mean I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I would say, yeah, I think our team was really good. Now, if you asked me if you thought that I'd be in my position that I am right now, I would probably say no. I didn't really know how I was going to contribute to this team and what my role was going to be for this team. I honestly thought that it was going to be a short yardage quarterback system. Austin was projected to be the starter, and that was who they were rolling with at the beginning of the year. But things changed, and it's really cool to see how the season changed and to see the success that this team has had so far. And it's really cool that to be in the position that we're in right now.
Really hope he gets his waiver. Honestly, I don't think the NCAA wants the smoke of a court case, and that's where this is headed. Now that the case has been laid bare and that he's announced his intentions, should he get that waiver, millions are on the table, like tangible millions are on the table that are actionable for Ole Miss and Tom Mars. And you don't enlist Tom Mars if you're one Trinidad Chambliss, if you don't have full intent to fight. The only thing I think that would keep Trinidad potentially from being Ole Miss's quarterback next year, save the waiver, is just his NFL draft stock. But what does it mean as far as portal quarterback recruiting? A lot of you want to know about Deuce Knight, like Dakota King here. I've heard Deuce is getting antsy about the waiver and about the situation. Could be wrong. Any thoughts? Y'all know what I've thought and reported about Deuce Knight for a long time, weeks now. That QR code you see that way, that QR code, if you scan it today as a new member, get 50% off the Ole Miss Spirit. OleMissSpirit.com, an affiliate of On3. And buddy, we've been talking about Deuce Knight for a minute. Him getting into the portal and Ole Miss being a potential landing spot, a favorite landing spot for him, is nothing new if you've been a part of the Ole Miss Spirit. But I have heard that Ole Miss or Deuce wants Ole Miss right now a little more than Ole Miss wants him because quarterback isn't the pressing issue right now that it necessarily was when all the waiver stuff was more up in the air. And they're going to bring DJ Lagway. They're working to bring DJ Lagway, Florida transfer quarterback, in for a visit. But here's the thing. If it's Deuce, if it's DJ, they're going to get a quarterback. They need the waiver first because if Trinidad gets the waiver, he is the quarterback. DJ Lagway, as far as a developmental piece or developmental quarterback, is an insane place to start. He's a former 5-star and Parade All-American. Underdeveloped, poorly coached at Florida. Turnover machine last year, but like if you can get him in the room with Trinidad for a year to learn and develop, same thing with Deuce, that is the appeal. Right now, Pete Nakos put out yesterday on 3, following reporting that I'd had for weeks. He said that he picked Ole Miss to land Deuce Knight, and I still think ultimately that's what happens. But right now, they're evaluating their options because that waiver, and at least knowing that if he gets it, he'll be back. Trinidad Chambliss will be Ole Miss's quarterback, so they can take their time now. It's not as pressing. They can actually focus on the game. So I don't think Deuce is getting antsy. I think Deuce is wanting Ole Miss to shit or get off the pot a little bit, but Ole Miss has the benefit of waiting. This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett at Spirit Ben on Twitter. Coming to me now from Phoenix is one Jake Thompson of the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate of On3. That QR code right above Jake's head. If you scan it, you can join the Ole Miss Spirit and get 50% off as a new member. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. We've been watching, or they've been watching some of the interviews and stuff like that. You just got done with interviews with the head coaches there in Phoenix. What? Just give me the full breakdown takeaway of that.
The biggest takeaway, I think you should definitely ask Pete Golding which coaches are coaching in the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow. That's his favorite question right now.
Oh, he's done with that, Jake. He's done with
He is
that, man.
done. He is done with that, and he was better today than he was Saturday. I guess it was Saturday we had that first Zoom where, he answered politely, and then by the fourth time, not so politely. And but it's kind of the same thing today. But no, it was good. Obviously, him and Mario have deep respect for each other. They know of each other a little bit. They've kept up with each other, but you could tell that this is two teams that have coaches that it's that they know what the other side has, and a lot of respect there. And I think everybody's just ready to play this game tomorrow night. The 7 days felt like a quick turnaround, but it felt like it was too long for these guys. They were just ready to quit answering questions, and as Pete says, spot the ball and see who's headed to Miami in 12 days.
So no news came from the head coach's press conference today.
No, beyond, Pete gave an official head count because somebody asked him one of those coaches' questions. Kevin Smith, Charlie Weiss got on the plane, as our favorite saying here lately, to Phoenix. Joe Cox, George McDonald, not Greg, as I put on the message board, George McDonald did not come here. And Pete expanded on it and said, look, they have a job. They're getting paid to do something right now. They got in Baton Rouge, they got 35 guys on the portal. They got a roster to make up. His exact quote was, well, they love to be here coaching in the playoffs. You're damn right they would. But, that was about the time he started getting a tad testy. But he's handled it. I think you can attest to this. Pete's handled it the right way. He's been taking the high road, said the right things, been diplomatic about it. One guy tried to set him up and say, well, what would you say to Lane Kiffin and others who doubted that y'all could be here in this position if he left early? And Pete took the high road again. But basically, he alluded to the fact, and if you want to make a headline out of it, you could say, Pete Golding said Lane Kiffin's is replaceable, because his answer was, I'm replaceable, a player's replaceable, everybody's replaceable. If you have a system that one person leaves, you keep moving and you're even more successful than before that person was there. So, not a lot about the game itself, a lot about, a lot of the Miami people are asking about Mario and his tradition with Miami and getting them back to where they are. And obviously Pete's, I asked him about the surge in retention. The strong success they've had in retention of players, especially with Kiwan yesterday and the defensive side. And, he just said, I think the city, the town, and university and school speaks for itself. Kind of props up, just the support system they have or he has around it. He's never one to take credit. I think we know that. He's never going to be that guy and says, I did it, nobody else did it. He's going to be the guy that steps in the back and says, they did it. They put this together. And I think that's why this has been so successful 2 games into the playoffs.
That's a really good point. As far as the retention, 11 players now since the Sugar Bowl have re-upped. No, 11 players in total. 8 since the Sugar Bowl, or maybe my math's a little off. But I think it's 11 full, at least 7 or 8 since the Sugar Bowl, starting with Jalen Braxton. What did Pete have to say specifically about the retention efforts?
Kind of the same thing that when I asked Brian Brown about it yesterday, because, as I was asking him, obviously all the offensive guys announced they were coming back. So at the time, it was mostly defensive guys. And he said they want to play for a winner. Winning cures all. And he also alluded to the fact that, it's the players that are on the roster now. And that's what Pete said today as well, is look at who we have here and who has stayed and kept this thing together and has things moving in the right direction. And not just for 2026, but a program that stuck together and is now 60 minutes away from playing for a national title. And so he credited a lot of that. And, I was really trying to ask the question of how has it been to him to be able to keep one hand on 2 wheels, basically, while coaching in the playoffs and having to do all that they've done in about a span of 4 to 5 days. But again, he deflected and put all the credit to the university, the administration, his guys, and the school and the players. And I think that's just how this Pete Golding administration is going to go. It's not me, it's everybody else. I'm just the guy that happens to be sitting at the front of the bus driving.
That's very well put. What's the rest of the schedule for today?
I think they go practice. It's nothing we can see. I don't know if it's at State Farm Stadium or if they're letting them practice elsewhere. But for us, that was it. That was the last thing. We're just all kind of hanging out, and we'll write our thoughts and pontificate. But now we all sit and wait till 5:30 local time tomorrow night.
And all you got to do is scan that QR code right there on your screen. That's for the Ole Miss Spirit to sign up. If you're a new member, you get 50% off as long as Ole Miss is in the college football playoff. And that's exactly where Ole Miss is. And Jake Thompson is there live from Phoenix. What do you kind of feel like, as far as we know, injury wise? Caleb Odom had the shoulder. I've been saying he's going to play. Kiwan's got the shoulder yank, keeping that kid off the field. Any concerns like that you're hearing or anything?
No, I guess last night's report, availability report had Odom, Kiwan, Daquan, right? All of them were off of it. Cam was still listed as questionable. The only eye-popping thing that I kind of missed after I posted it in there last night was that PJ Wilkins is listed as out. We know he's in the portal. I'm assuming that means he didn't make the trip. It was not something I thought to ask you, buddy, because I didn't see the report until after the fact last night. So I'm guessing that means he did not make it or he's just not playing, one of the two. But we do know Austin Simmons made the trip, is available. Joe Judge confirmed that yesterday. I don't think that was a concern for us, but people were asking, and he's here, so he will be QB2, and then obviously AJ after that. Not to create a break glass case of emergency, but that the traditional depth chart is still here for Ole Miss, at least at the quarterback's position.
Yeah, and what do you make of the retention efforts and yourself, just when you saw that come down and what Pete Golding is able to do? Because, I started the show very simply, and we're powered by Riverland Roofing and so many others. We're thankful for all of y'all for joining us here in the chat, for joining us online. I'll go through the list again for those that just got in. First, total players lost to the portal by SEC team. Auburn's first with 33. Ole Miss is only at 3. Now, they're going to lose more after the season is over. But to pair that with who they've retained so far, Caleb Odom and Luke Haas, Devin Harper, Deuce Alexander, Kiwan Lacy, Jan Brown, Prince Will, Uman Mielen, Oscar Bird, Lucas Carnero, Ladarian Clary, Jalen Braxton, Antonio Kites, and Taryn Perkins, William Eckles, Bryson Sanders. Just what does that say about the momentum this team has? Because, look, I said if they got through Georgia, I was going to pick them all the way through as a team of destiny, and the vibes just only continue to get better, right? Like, this just feels like this is about as well as it could have gone for Ole Miss. Like, you couldn't have imagined or concocted a more dream scenario for Ole Miss.
Well, no, I was sitting at Caesars Sportsbook New Year's Eve watching Cotton Bowl, and I think a lot of people around me were talking for Ole Miss, the best case scenario that they could win the next night was Miami get through, not Ohio State. Not that they couldn't beat Ohio State, but I think Miami up at 2, you prefer to take Miami, and that's exactly what happened. And, I'll get to the retention answer here in a minute, but does it feel like Eli Manning is omnipotent? I think on some TikTok thing he had to do, he picked Indiana, Ole Miss.
I wrote it through. Jake, I wrote it for the Ole Miss Spirit. Again, that QR code above Jake's head. Scan it, join us. We write and talk about this all day, every day. Jake's there. I'm there. Zach's there. Brad Logan's there. Bradley Sal's there. Chuck's there. Just pick your person that you've seen on this. They're all there all the time. And I wrote that story. Eli straight up said, he said, I'm picking Indiana and Ole Miss in 2026 national champions, Ole Miss Rebels. And a lot of people, when it first happened, were like, oh, that's just Eli being Eli. But dadgummit if he doesn't look like he had a crystal ball.
Well, you want to know what would change all of the stuff that everybody says wrong about college football? You have Ole Miss and Indiana in the national championship,
That's right.
And all of a sudden, everybody's making those phone calls. I kid, it'd be great for those two programs. And I think it'd be a great, a breath of fresh air in Miami for those two teams to be playing, and we hope one of them are. But back to your retention, I mean, I don't think I expected that kind of wave of success that fast. Now, all this is strategic. They probably knew. It's not like Lucas signed at 7:08 p.m. last night. They've got this stuff. You know this better than I do. And so it's all they putting it out when they want to. So for them, it's strategic. And so they've had that good feeling in that building for a few days, I'm sure. I'm blown away at all the offensive guys that have stayed. And, everybody's still asking about Winnie Watkins. If Winnie Watkins goes, I don't think it's not a blow now. No offense to him. He's still a great player, and Ole Miss would love to keep him, and they still might. But if he follows Lane to LSU, you've done a lot more good than bad if you lose him. There's so much more hay still in the bar for 26, more than I expected, honestly. I thought it'd be a tough playoff / off season in terms of guys leaving. The defensive side, I think that was not a shock. Pete's their guy to stay.
Right.
Whichever coach is on that side of the ball, those guys are going to stay. But the offensive success that they've had retention-wise is incredible. And you get that one yes from Indianapolis, you're sitting at a potential – no matter what happens tomorrow, I think you're a potential top 5 preseason team if you can keep your quarterback and your running back and everything else, and what else you end up doing in the transfer portal. I mean, I think Ole Miss is more set up for 2026 than I was afraid they might be, depending on how everything shook out. And so far, I don't think they could have had a better, quote unquote, front 9 to this whole portal season.
I agree. And I think that Trinidad gets his waiver. I think Winnie Watkins still probably transfers to LSU. I mean, he was trying to recruit kids to LSU last I heard. I mean, but when it first happened, I don't want to put nothing on the kid, but Winnie's a lane guy. I mean, so that one wouldn't surprise me, and that's been the long held belief that ultimately he'd go transfer to LSU after the year. But if he does, so be it. Because like I said, like it's not a knock on him, but they were prioritizing. I know this for a fact from sourcing. Like the Grove Collectives was prioritizing Caden Lee and Deuce Alexander anyway, right? And like Caden Lee had announced, and there's Georgia Pursuit and some other teams for Caden, but Deuce Alexander, getting him secured. Caleb Cunningham told me he's not going anywhere. They love what he could be for next year. He just didn't get here in time. Not getting here for the spring setting back. The timeline for everybody and all things has been moved up. So now if you want to play as a freshman, buddy, you better get here in the spring. So like I hope when he sticks around, he's an incredible talent. But yeah, if you made me guess, I would still think that he ends up at LSU. And then as far as the Trinidad waiver, Tom Mars does seem confident. What's taking so long? NCAA incompetence. But somebody brought up something in the chat that's absolutely something that that they're right. I'm wrong. Hammond Austin. There's no way Lagway's coming to sit behind Trinidad. I think you're absolutely right. He's already visited Baylor. Deuce would be more of you got Trinidad, bring him in here, developmental guy, can also push Trinidad just like Trinidad pushed Austin. But I think DJ Lagway and Ole Miss's interest there, and this is purely speculation, but it just popped in my brain, could mean covering all bases as far as if he doesn't get that waiver. If he doesn't get that waiver, you need legit like a couple of legitimate starting options. DJ Lagway and Deuce Knight could compete and go for it together. DJ Lagway or someone else. So I could see that. I think that the DJ Lagway potential visit or the visit coming later this weekend when they get back from the Fiesta Bowl has more to do with covering all bases and eventualities if or if not Ole Miss gets that waiver for Trinidad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, you're DJ Lagway. You've been on an SEC Netflix special as a starting quarterback in the SEC. You're not downgrading yourself, nor should he. I would expect him not to. But if you're Ole Miss, people are getting all worked up because he's may visit. They get more worked up if Ole Miss wasn't doing their diligence and having quarterbacks like a DJ Lagway coming to visit. So they find a way to get upset, worried or nervous either way. But if you're Pete, you got to kick the tire on these quarterbacks are still in the portal because the one person or five people, however many it is, that makes that decision in Indianapolis could wake up tomorrow and go, no, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they could say yes. I mean, you had no clue. You're leaving it up to as a fan of fighting and UFC. You're leaving it up to the judges, and that's a risky proposition if you don't have contingencies. And DJ Lagway is a nice start given other names of quarterbacks that are currently available in the portal, and we don't know who else may hop in. There's still 9 days left, so anything can happen. But you got to kick the tires on the ones who are there. And to your Winnie Watkins thing, I mentioned this last week when I talked to y'all right after media day in New Orleans, and he kind of gave me a "what you mean" when I asked the question the first time, and I could tell, it was one of those where you could read it as either he didn't understand what I meant, or
he knew exactly what you meant,
or he knew exactly what I meant and thought he was wanting me to say it without saying it. So I rephrased it more diplomatically, and he just gave I don't want to talk about it. So, but like you said, that's the worst kept secret of all of this situation. And to Deuce Alexander, he told us during the season he was on that other sideline of Wake Forest. That's all what Ole Miss was doing to him and his team. Said, I want to be on that side. So it's an easy sell to keep Deuce here. And Caden Lee is an Ole Miss guy, I think, through and through. I don't think he'd go anywhere. So that's why those two would be prioritized over Winnie Watkins. No offense to Winnie, but those other two make tons more sense right now.
Yeah, no disrespect at all. It's not personal, it's business. Tampa 601 late to the party, but I thought Ben was going. I am going. My flight is out of Jackson, Mississippi at 7:25, direct to Phoenix.
Are you doing that Hulk Hogan thing where you bend the time zones and in that way you can be in like Japan 400 times in a 365-day?
I hope not. I hate flying in planes. I'm just hoping for no turbulence. Apparently, like a hurricane's coming through. Actually, like here in New Albany before I leave, because I got to drive in this. It's like the foggiest I've ever seen foggy New Albany. You know what I mean? Like it's insane. So I'm going to get on the road not long after I get done with this podcast, and then I will meet them down there. We got a pregame show tomorrow. Jake will be a part of it. Me and Brad Logan. We got a great guest list as well. But here's the pregame party. The official Ole Miss alumni pregame party at Heritage Sportsman's Park, 9600 West Sportsman's Park South, Glendale, Arizona, 85305. The event is 2 to 4:30. Kickoff is 5:30 Mountain Time, right, Jake?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
I googled it. It's in the shadow of the stadium. So if you park at the stadium, just walk
boom.
right over there. It's in some grassy area, so it's not
So
like across town.
exactly. I'm gonna get there at 1. We have the following guests confirmed: Walker Jones, Cole Kubelik from ESPN, Bradley Sowell, who's the newest addition, Charles Stackhouse, Hugh Freeze, because Ole Miss is landing Auburn guys. I'm not trying to be gimmicky. He like Jay Crawford, the Deuce Knight Pursuit. He's a free agent now. I don't care about the old crap of a decade ago. I care to ask the guy who's a free agent who has unique expertise about specific Ole Miss stuff for about 10 minutes. So each one of those guys is going to stop in for about 10 minutes, if not a little bit more. And Jake will be there. Like I said, Zach Berry will be there. I'll be there, Brad Logan. So join us. I think it's a pretty costly ticket and they're sold out, but it doesn't matter. If you get there and hang out, you're going to see all of us. So, and we're going to come talk to you. And we would love for you to come join us there and also join us at the Ole Miss Spirit. That QR code above Jake's head, scan it. Go to the Ole Miss Spirit, sign up as a new member for 50% off. We would absolutely love to have you. Jake, have a good rest of your day. All right, so is the media party tonight? Am I missing it?
There is a media party tonight. You will miss it because it'll be halfway through by the time you're departing Jackson. So, but hey, fly safe as you can allow control the plane to fly. And
yes,
but no, you'll be good.
Okay, well, here's the thing. You've already gotten gotten me excited. I was already excited because I'm going to the Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss is 2 wins away from a title, and I get to go cover it because of the graciousness of Ole Miss fans. I did not ask for anything, and they just decided, nope, you're going, and sent me money, and so I'm going. On 3 called me and said, we would have paid for your travel, maybe. I was like, well, I know, but like I did, been trying to be a good company, man. And Ole Miss people, I was just going to hang back, but y'all refused to let me, and that is the coolest thing.
We should tell them that the South Beach bill might be a little more, so we'll save theirs for 11 days from now.
Yes.
But the problem is you may have to hustle tomorrow morning or sometime because I think you'll get here when the doors are closed to pick up said hoodie today. So
yeah, you know where I was going with that.
Yeah. It's Ben's getting him a wearable bowl gift this time. He got him his blanket last week, and we're going to get him a hoodie this week. But
well, Gracie's already stole my blanket from the Sugar Bowl, which was just fantastic.
I cannot snag it for you. It's under lock and key. It'd be like stealing the Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence. Like Nicholas calls the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's the thing. But what he's talking about, like the Fiesta Bowl gives out a Fiesta Bowl hoodie, black hoodie. It's like it was designed for me, Jake. And the funniest, when you saw it, who did you think of immediately?
But how long I waited to tell you until the end of the day because I did not want you stressing.
No. But I just didn't want them to run out.
Well, I wouldn't have told you last night if I knew you weren't leaving till tonight. So I thought you were leaving in the morning. So that was my fault.
Oh, I really hope. Oh, well, golly, gosh knows it probably gets sold out. Before I let you go, if you might have saw in the Ole Miss Spirit, right here, get your own custom college football playoff, Ole Miss football. It's got the Ole Miss logo, the official college football playoff emblem on it. Go to biggameusa.com/Ole Miss CFB. biggameusa.com/Ole Miss CFB. So many of y'all have sent me the screenshot of purchasing a ball or signing up for the Spirit. I'm buying one of these balls to give away to a new member. All you got to do is preview or scan the QR code, join as a new member for 50% off. Screenshot proof that you did it, and hit me up with the screenshot in my mentions on Twitter, email spiritben1@gmail.com. DMs on the Ole Miss Spirit, a post on the Ole Miss Spirit. Show me you did it, and I'm going to put all of those new members into a bucket and draw out a name and give a football away. But you don't have to wait for that. You can go get your own right here and now, and they're awesome. And so many of you, it's been really cool to see, like, you've already bought them and put them on your mantles, on your shelves and stuff. Man, they're dope, and everybody's trying to share in this experience. And that's what we're trying to bring to you here at Talk of Champions, the Ben and Brad Show, the Ben and Jake Show, whatever we're going to call this uniformly. That's our plan for the next couple of days, is to bring Phoenix to you. Jake is in Phoenix. Brad, as you heard from earlier, is on the way. Got more sound coming from players and coaches. Jake, have a good rest of your day. If anything pops, he'll have it at the Ole Miss Spirit, and so will I. But be ready for another live, for another close-up for our live show tomorrow, because you're coming, right? 2 to 4:30, and you're going to be there. No excuses, just results, right?
I'm taking the first shuttle over, and so I'll be there about the time y'all probably get there.
That a boy. I'm going to get there at 1 o'clock, set up, meet people, and then it's game day action the rest of the way. Thank you, Jake.
See you, bud.
That's Jake Thompson of the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and affiliate on 3. Let's hear now from William Eckles, because this is a really good interview, man. He was asked the whole media day for the Fiesta Bowl was on Tuesday. So it was a big room set up with all these coaches and players, Jake and those that are already there. I get there tonight. They were able to just go from table to table to table and talk to all kinds of different guys. And someone, I don't know who the reporter was, so forgive me if you're watching this, but William Eckles was asked about that incredible moment at the end of the Sugar Bowl when, in front of God and everybody with a microphone handed to him by ESPN, shouted out Corey Adams and the tragic loss of Corey Adams, but his mother who was in attendance. Listen to this great interview with a guy who is broken out in his second year in William Eckles, one of the very first to sign back on for 2026, and has really emerged as a leader for this football team. And this is part of the reason why stuff like this right here.
When I first found out, man, it was very devastating, man. His mom was a very strong woman. I got so much.
Bad at this. Let's do that again. William Eckles. Right here.
When I first found out, man, it was very devastating, man. I shed a couple of tears. Corey sat beside me in the meeting room. So I talked to him a lot because, he was a freshman, got to learn to play. So, me just helping him out, it meant a lot. So, I was hurt when it happened. I really wish I could have just prevented it, honestly. For a long time, I felt like I could have prevented what happened just by telling him not to go down there, up there. But just for like me, I know I had to help keep the D-line together. 'Cause I know it hurt them hard. 'Cause that's who he was with. It was with Deshaun Womack, Cam Franklin. So I know it hit them pretty hard. So I know I had to go talk to them and make sure that was okay mentally. Yeah, it brought us real close. We was close already, but that right there, it just tightened our focus and everything. I feel like it helped us out. I meant everything, man. His mom was a very strong woman. I got so much respect for her after everything she's been through with Corey. She's a good woman, and it just made everything playing in New Orleans where Corey from. I think his high school was 10 miles away. So just going back to where he's from and representing him, it meant everything for me. Well, I think Trinidad signed the day before Kiwan signed. So I gave him a big hug when I seen him. And yesterday, it was today, I think. I gave Kiwan a big hug when I found out. So, I'm just happy those guys coming back. We get to run it back again next year, and I'm super excited for what the future holds for us. I think it's a example of what the impact Ole Miss have on people as a school. The fans are incredible. The people in Oxford are incredible. They treat you like your family. So I feel like that's a big reason. That's a big reason why I like Oxford. I love Oxford. It's nowhere else I want to be in the country. So I feel like just the people of Oxford and the fans really make you feel loved.
Man, tell me the vibes aren't just insane right now, right? How could you not get swept up in them? I loved hearing Paul Feinbaum say that Ole Miss is America's team. Everybody's rooting for Ole Miss to win this thing, and not Miami fans, not Oregon fans, not Indiana fans. But what a great Final Four for the new world of college football. And while Paul is probably more motivated by Ole Miss continuing to make Lane Kiffin look dumb for his decision, it's just so cool to hear these guys, to see the retention efforts on top of the winning and not get swept up in the team of destiny talk. That's why I said it. That's why I said it going to the Sugar Bowl. If Ole Miss gets past Georgia, the team that I thought they matched up with the absolute worst, if they get through Georgia, dang it, I'm picking them as a team of destiny all the way through. And goodness knows that's not exactly what I'm doing. People have been asking me for a score prediction. I gave it on Game Runs Deep earlier this week with Sudu, and I'm saying 41-28 Ole Miss. No disrespect to Miami, and that's probably going to be wrong because I don't think Ole Miss necessarily hits 40. That's a really good Miami defense. Ruben Bain is my favorite player in college football. I love line wreckers. I love guys that their whole job is to just wreck shit. And Ruben Bain is going to be a problem for Ole Miss, but it's shortchanging guys like Jaden Williams and Diego Pounds at right and left tackle respectively for Ole Miss, who've had great years when you don't give them their credit as well. And that's my biggest thing is Ole Miss all year has not gotten the credit it deserves as a true contender. And you might say, well, they're here. Well, yeah, on their own volition. not because national media tried to help him. Hell, going into the college football playoff, stop cussing, Ben. God forgive me. Lord, God is good, and I can't wait to get to Phoenix, and I'm trying not to cuss, but like I'm kind of like Pete Golding that way. He talked about this Ole Miss team knows who they're glorifying while dropping a shit in the middle of it too. And that's just a Mississippi thing. We're trying to get better. And we all try to improve a little bit more every single day because God is good, and God is good all the time. So, but it's like it's hard not to get swept up in all of the good vibes because everything is going Ole Miss's way right now. And right now is all that matters. Right now is the only thing that matters. Now 2026 has been taken care of in such a tangible way that and the early portal work has been so impressive that the things that you were worried about, the things that you thought might hold them back, the long-term questions without Lane Kiffin under Pete Golding have been answered with aplomb the last couple of days. And going into the playoff, it wasn't like that. You've got the national media on your side. Chris Lowe is writing banger after banger for On 3, our national guy for On 3. He's great. And he's written great stuff about Ole Miss's journey through this and how it's about the we and not the me. Going into the playoff, it was about, well, if you don't let the man coach, you're going to drop in seeding. The disrespect has always been real. It's always been treated as like, what is Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin? Turns out that they're emerging as the next big thing in college football. They've been there. The wins have been there for 10-win seasons in 5 years. Lane Kiffin deserves all kinds of credit in the world for that, but we're not going to shortchange what is proven out of the last couple of days with Walker Jones and Keith Carter securing players for next year like Kiwan Lacy, who Lane knew he was getting, just was convinced he was getting. And I know the number's high. I don't know it exactly enough to just put it out there, but I think I do. And Ole Miss is paying a pretty penny. But that's what title contending teams do. They pay their players, and they fill out the rest of it supplementally through their top end player procurement strategy, which for Ole Miss is what? I'm not going to call it NIL anymore. Free agency. That's what I'm going to call the window. The free agency window. Because this is moved far beyond name, image, and likeness. This is straight up pay for play, and anybody pretending that it's not is just trying to hold on to something that doesn't exist anymore. Here's one more interview from Ole Miss Media Day on Tuesday. It's Joe Judge, Ole Miss quarterbacks coach. And I told him this on Monday before they left. They left the team to go to Phoenix on Tuesday morning. He had a great answer. I asked him about Bryson Sanders' incredible block in the Sugar Bowl that sprung one of those big Trinidad crazy plays where he scrambled out, almost put his heels on his own end zone, and then found Kiwan. Bryson Sanders made an incredible play. And Joe Judge lit up, man, when I asked him about it and just went into great detail. And after we're done with that, when we're talking to him kind of afterwards, I told him, man, I could listen to you talk football all day because he's the best to listen to. Here he is.
We're getting ready to compete to have a chance to go on to the next game right now. Those people that are saying you can't do something are saying it while they're sitting home on their couch. They got plenty of time to talk because they're not prepping for a game. But, the dynamics of college football have shifted with the revenue share, the NIL. You look at the SEC this year, the parity throughout the year. How many teams had similar records? How many teams are knocking each other off left and right? Those days of having one team that has 3 future first-round running backs just sitting in the stable, I'm not saying they're completely done, but they're not going to be common. It's not going to be very likely when you do that. The reality is most of these guys who are capable are going to look to go find somewhere to play early on. And whatever we think about that as far as, transferring before you have a chance to play, that's really what it's going to be. So there's a lot of parity on the rosters across the conference, a lot of parity across the country. So as long as you have the resources and you have the support, which Ole Miss absolutely does, to put that into the players and build that, absolutely. The dynamics have shifted. It's no longer the blue bloods and the have-nots. Now it's just, are you in the game now, right? Anyone can sit down at the poker table if they got the money to play, right? I think as a coaching staff, if you look at the handful of years we've all come out of as a staff, everybody, just think back to COVID, right? So everyone keeps asking questions about the coaching staff changes. I can remember during COVID, you never knew who you're going to have at a game. So you had to prep everybody to be ready at all times. Our called backup defensive line coach was one of our strength coaches. We had backup offensive line coaches that were what would be the equivalent of analysts, guys that were working inside. We had plans for every player that weren't available at the game. One of the things we had to talk about every Saturday night before Sunday was, what if we wake up tomorrow and any player at your position pops positive for COVID? I mean, that was just part of the program. We had to go through that all the time. So you always plan ahead in the transition. You plan ahead on what's going to happen. To me, right now, that's very similar to what we've been going through. There's an ideal structure you want to have, but what if? Okay, what's our plan? If so-and-so can't come back to coach whatever position, what's our plan? It doesn't matter what the reason out there is. We have to have a preparation and plan ready for the player. So we always talk ahead. Basically, after every game, me and Charlie and Pete have sat down and talked about kind of the next week's coming up and how we're going to handle it, and when he's going down to Baton Rouge, when he's coming back, what he has to handle, how we're going to prep for next week, all that stuff. So we've stayed ahead on this, and then continuously throughout the weeks, we've just communicated in terms of like all the what ifs. I'll talk to him I'll let him speak for himself in terms of like his own reacclimation. I just know the guy's jumped in like it's riding a bike.
It's talking about
so
John
he's
David
a ball
Baker.
coach, and he's jumped in. He's been coaching football from day one he's got here. Obviously, he's handling, a big load for us with the portal stuff because, again, while we're at practice, there's been times he's been on the field, and there's been times he's had to have meetings with players who are on campus visiting, things of that nature this week. But he's a ball coach, so he just jumps right on in. It doesn't matter if he's working with the tight ends, which he used to coach here. He's got to jump in with the running backs for a day. He's got to jump in at any point with the receivers. He just goes to coach. He knows the offense. He knows the system. He knows the culture here. He's worked personally with, Charlie and other coaches here before already. So he just jumps right back on in. I can't say like he's never left because I wasn't here with him the first time, but he jumps back in, has a lot of confidence with the way he conducts himself.
Man, Joe Judge is awesome. I could listen to that dude talk football all day. And I saw someone talk about the trophy in the chat, how insane it is. There it is, James McDonald. That trophy looked huge. Man, that trophy is epic. Absolutely epic. I love that. The Fiesta Bowl does it right, man. It's hard for all of us to get out to Phoenix, but as you saw with when we went to Brad Logan at the Memphis airport, Ole Miss has taken over the Memphis airport. I fully expect when I get to Jackson, Mississippi tonight for my direct flight to Phoenix, I'll land at 9:30. I'll go live to Brad Logan, who's doing a show from the Alumni Association event tonight. We'll do another Alumni Association event, the pregame show right beside the stadium tomorrow. I'll get you more details on that in a second if you don't know them. But yeah, that trophy is insane. And man, that's the spirit of the thing. It's hard for us to all get out there, but deadgummit, if Ole Miss isn't trying to take over, you saw it at the Memphis airport. I fully expected it at the Jackson airport. And it was so great to talk to Brad and talk to Jake. Brad's on his way. Jake is already there and providing live reporting on the scene. I'll be providing live reporting on the scene later today. I land at 9:30. That QR code right above here. I think I'm going to the Barstool party to meet up with Jarrell Poe and Ben Mintz. And if I do, I will go live from there as well if you need me to. We want to bring here on the podcast Phoenix to y'all. That's the whole goal for us. Y'all been so good to us, man. And the sponsors that have allowed us to that have paid us to bankroll us to get there, including B&A Bank, including Riverland Roofing, Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group, College Corner, Built Different Fitness. Man, I could go on and on and on. It's just been absolutely amazing to see the growth. But then for Ole Miss fans, the other day when I said, hey, I'm hanging back for Phoenix, I'm going to hang back for financially responsible reasons. On three has been great to me, but they weren't the travel stuff has been a little complicated. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make it easy for everybody. And Ole Miss fans said, no, Ben, you're going. And y'all got me there. Y'all got me there by the kindness of your hearts. And I'm so thankful for that. What do you think? Who do you think will have more of a crowd? Oh, I think Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss will have more of a crowd. I'm jealous, but Ben deserves it. Oh, brother, I hope you have a great time. Brother, thank you so much. Tony, you've been a regular. You asked about Mary earlier in the chat. I'm wondering where Mary is too. We're used to some regulars in the chat, of which Tony is one. And man, thank you so much for your kind words. I cannot wait to get out there to Philadelphia. Phoenix. That's not the first time I've done that. And I have no idea where it's coming from. I guess it's just the PH to start. But Phoenix, I can't wait to get out to Phoenix. And James says, looking forward to do it. Oh, man, fantastic. Thank you. And Sudu's going to he's going to run our full pregame show. He's going to run our whole pregame show. CJ Johnson is supposed to join him as an analyst to start. I think that the goal for Sudu is to do a watch-along party right here. So if you're not there, just join the podcast. And CJ Johnson and Sudu will start it off. They'll go to me and Brad there at the pregame. We'll talk to Hugh Freeze, and we'll talk to Walker Jones, Charles Stackhouse, Bradley Sow. Who else are we talking to? Cole Kubelik from ESPN. And then during the game, The plan is hopefully for Kentrell Lockett to call in. He's got work that night, man. I feel so bad for him. But, like, hopefully Kentrell will be able to call in to join Sudo. Sudo will call in to me during breaks for, live remotes from the press box, from the field. So all you got to do is hang out with us here on the podcast. Be safe. Ben, getting to Jackson, wish I could quit my job and go. Brother, I wish you could go with us, man. It was great to meet you. And just join the podcast, man. Just join the podcast, and we'll be bringing you all this. I mean, do you feel like you're there? Kind of feel like you're there now? That's the hope. A lot of work going to be put in to make this the best it can possibly be for you guys that don't get to go, that aren't as fortunate enough to get to go. I'm scared of Bane, bro. Yeah. Kid's a baller. But don't shortchange Jaden Williams and Diego Pounds. One of the most undersold or underappreciated strengths of this Ole Miss team all year is not just that the offensive line has gotten better and been solid as heck all year, but it's that it's been the same five pretty much all but for 2 games. PJ Wilkins started the year as a starter. Now he's in the portal. As Jake reported when he joined us earlier, he is not with the team in Phoenix. So I guess PJ Wilkins, we hardly knew you. But, since that Kentucky game, second half of that Kentucky game, it's been the same starting five. Diego Pounds, Delano Townsend, Bryson Sanders, Patrick Kudus, and Jaden Williams. Patrick Kudus hasn't been announced as one of the retention guys yet. He's going to test the NFL draft waters just to see what his stock is. But if he stays in college, I think he's sticking around at Ole Miss. I don't think it's much of a debate. Delano Townsend, same thing. And, you can't ask for more from this group. And they've been together and they've stayed healthy all year, which is unprecedented, right? I mean, I remember talking to Freeze after that 2012 year when they went to the Birmingham Bowl. And everybody, of course, talks about Bo Wallace. Of course they do. Bo was the biggest signee, one of the biggest signees in Ole Miss history. He was like the penultimate, like swing recruit commitment signee for what Ole Miss needed him to be moving forward. But like Freeze told me, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me this year. Really, really stuck with me this year. That offensive line that year with Emmanuel McCray with his really bad knees started every game, all 12 games, 13 games for Ole Miss at left tackle. They had the same starting five. They didn't think they had a 6th offensive lineman. Now, this group has a 6th offensive lineman. One of them was P.J. Wilkins, but Devin Harper is probably your starting right tackle next year, folks. Carius Kern will start somewhere, be it at tackle or guard, probably on the interior. The more and more I hear about it. But if they needed to go into the well, they could, and they haven't had to. And that's such a testament to John Garrison and so many others, and that strength and conditioning staff, that nutritionist staff, that those guys don't get the love that they should. And that 5 staying together, just like in 2012, has been a catalyst to allow Ole Miss over a 15-game just absolute fight, dog fight after dog fight. It was, they deserve a lot of credit. The fake Jake Thompson in the comments, is Austin going to travel with the team, even though he's transferring? He is with them in Phoenix. Get Bo on the pod. He was supposed to come on. I thought I was getting him on a couple of weeks ago. We talked on the phone about it, and we were going to do it right then and there that day, and then it just never happened. But Bo is one of my absolute favorite people, dude, in this business, and I will definitely try to get Bo back on for you guys. But as far as the event, again, before we get out of here, I want to remind people about the pregame party. That's where we'll be live on game day. And you might be wondering, hey, is that close to the stadium? Do I got to jump in to bust it? It's right by the stadium. Right by the stadium. All you got to do is show up. And I think it's sold out. But even still, I'm going to be talking to everybody that shows up. You can see us there, talk to us there. It'll be a party inside the party, outside the party. Let's take over Phoenix and especially around the stadium. I fully expect Ole Miss to absolutely fill this place up. And you're supposed to wear red according to Ole Miss. But this is where Brad will be, I will be, Zach Berry will be, Jake Thompson. And you've already heard a number of the guests. So come join us. If you are in Phoenix, come join us at the official Ole Miss pregame party brought to you by the Ole Miss Alumni Association. Brad will be live from the Ole Miss Alumni Association's event tonight, and I will join him from the airport in Jackson, Mississippi. So whoever else is flying out with me in Jackson, Mississippi, buddy, let's be the best flight group ever. Ever. Come talk to me. I hate flying. You know what I mean? So make your friend Ben feel better. So I just can't stand it. But man, y'all are awesome. And now this is just my Hey, I love that. Jake Thompson, the fake Jake Thompson. I love that, man. That's That's fun stuff, dude. You're all good. But yeah, everybody in Jackson, come find me, man. I would love to talk to you. Love to see you. It'll feel better. It'll make me feel better if I feel like I'm flying with family. So please say hello. Say, hey, Ben, ready to go to Phoenix? Yes, I am. I really am, and I hope we don't go down. I hate planes. I'll never forget, like me and my dad and brothers, it was the New Orleans Saints. I'm a Cowboys fan. And my dad was never a massive Eli fan. He's that old guard. He was a Peyton fan. And he just, the worst thing that ever happened was when Peyton didn't go to Ole Miss, went to Tennessee. He was the prince that was promised, and to get spurned, like my dad still can't get over it, but he was like always weirdly devoted to Peyton because of it, even more so than Eli in a way. Like we didn't go to Eli's Super Bowls, but we went to both, or no, we went to Peyton's Super Bowl in Miami when Prince played Purple Rain in the freaking rain. Dude, that was what I was there for. Wearing all my Cowboys gear because the Cowboys will never get back to a Super Bowl. So I'm wearing my Cowboys gear. Saints fans are talking shit. I was like, yeah, well, now you got 5 more to go to catch up with us. Because that's all we got is history from the 90s. Hadn't won an NFC championship game in 20 years, let alone anything like 2 playoff wins. It's not Dak's fault, it's Jerry's. But we were there, and we were flying in this little bitty plane. I'm claustrophobic, and I hate flying to begin with. And I'm 19 years old, and I'm having a full-on panic attack. And my dad's like, put some air on your face. He was like, Ben, you're chill, you're fine. Well, I couldn't chill. So I moved to the back of the plane. It wasn't that crowded. Sweet stewardess walks up to me, says, honey, what can I do to make you feel better? I said, beer, please, beer. So she brought them to me. Didn't ask my age. And look, I look like this at 40. Imagine at 19. She just brought me Miller Lite after Miller Lite after Miller Lite until the plane ride became fine. And my dad and them, they were on the front of the plane. I got to all the way to the back. I needed some space. We're walking out of the plane, and there they are. My dad goes, Ben, you look at you. Like you put some air on your face. He said, I remember he told me, he goes, like, I felt like such a good dad. Like I helped you. I was like, no, I just got hammered. God is good. I don't get hammered anymore, but I needed to for that flight. And I won't be doing it for this flight either, because God is sovereign. If we all go down, we all go down together. But yeah, tell your boy what's up when you see him. What do you think about this whole Williams tampering stuff? Good luck with anybody trying to get something on tampering. Good luck. Everybody does it. Good luck. I hope it works for you. Wear red. Yes, wear red. That's what you should do in Phoenix, which I'm going to tonight. My thanks to Jake, Thompson, Brad, Logan, all of those players and the interviews that we were able to play for you guys. Thank y'all for sending me to Phoenix. I am living a dream. And if you ever wonder if full trust in God can get you there, buddy, I'm a walking example. Praise be to him from whom all blessings flow. Find me in Phoenix. I'll be there at 9:30. See y'all in Jackson. Oh, man, it's finally here.